Breaking It Down with Frank MacKay. This is 103.9 LI News Radio.
I'd like to welcome everyone to Breaking It Down. Our very special guest is entertainer and singer Susan Cowsill. Susan, how are you?
I am wonderful, Frank. How are you guys doing over there?
We're doing good. You're in New Orleans, are you?
I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana, darling.
Yeah, so NOLA.
That's right. That's what we call ourselves.
Now, how much time do you spend down there? That's your home, right?
This is my home. I've been living in New Orleans for 21 years.
How did you end up there?
Well, a band and a man. Isn't that just the way it always is?
That's a deadly combination, Susan. I don't want to tell you. That's a deadly combination.
I know. It has brought me many riches, however. I joined a band called the Continental Drifters in early 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And one of the guys in the band's name was Peter Holzapfel. There was a band with Vicki Peterson from the Bangles, Peter Holzapfel from the DBs and REM, and myself and a bunch of other ne'er-do-wells. And two of the guys in that band were from New Orleans, Louisiana, and they were living in L.A. at the time. That's where we all met. And the boys were ready to go home. They didn't like the big city. And so we all kind of loaded up the Winnebago and all came back here together.
Now, let's talk about your what you really got known for and early on, and that was your work with your family band. Is that a good way to put it?
Sure, yeah. They're my family band. They have been and always will be, the Cowsills. And I started playing with those guys when I was about, almost 8 years old, back in 67.
You would have been the Tracy, or rather, she would have been you from the Partridge.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, let's clarify it. Tracy would have been Susan Cowsill from the Partridge Family, and let's clarify for people who may not know, the show, very very popular show, the Partridge Family, was based on, and you can correct me, it's not even loosely, directly based on the Cowsills. Am I right?
That's absolutely right, and it isn't loose at all. In fact, the show was originally designed, created, and written for my family. We were going to have our own TV show about our life. But as things always go, the universe has other ideas. The guys from Screen Gems came out to stay with us for a couple of weeks and decided that we were better singers and musicians than we were actors. And they liked me, and they liked my brother Barry, who played bass, and they were thinking about using us, but they also wanted a known actress to play the mom, and they didn't tell us that in the beginning, so it all just kind of came down to where we turned them down. I think we got $5 or something like that. They changed things around a little bit, added a kid here and there, but that was our show. That was originally our show.
Did you say you got $5?
I don't even think we got $5.
I thought you said you got $5. I don't know.
I did. I was kidding.
I got you. Well, hey, Barry, your brother Barry, who played the bass, was he a redhead?
No, he was not. That's, I think, where they took liberties.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. Yeah, well, they got Danny, and they made him a star. Danny Bonaducci was the redheaded bass.
Danny Bonaducci made himself a star. That kid had it from the get-go.
Yeah, well, yeah, no question about that. Now, was there any discussion? And boy, it would have been a very, very harmful discussion. I think it's almost, thank God they canned all of yous. But was there any discussion about, well, let's keep the Cowsills and let's replace the mom?
No, my dad was pretty adamant about that. That was not the original plan.
I mean, was that did that come up?
No, just the two of us. No, just Barry and myself. They thought we could act, but the rest of them, they didn't want to. Look, here's the deal, Frank. They developed this show, and it took them 2 years, really, to bring it into fruition. And by the time it was fully formed and they were ready to go, we had already outgrown the role. My brothers were much older. It was 69, I think, and we weren't cut out for our own story anymore. We'd outgrown our own story. You know, we weren't the cute little kids anymore. Well, I was.
Well, let me remind the listeners that they're listening to Susan Cowsill, a fantastic performer and singer, but also the member of the Cowsills, the family band that was used, or actually the Partridge Family had used the Cowsills. The creators of the Partridge Family used the Cowsills as the prototype for the Partridge Family, which went on to be a tremendous hit. How did you feel? How did you feel watching that show?
Oh my God, it was crazy. I mean, you know, as if being a celebrity as a kid wasn't kind of like disconcerting rather, whereupon, I mean, I was just a regular kid, but I knew I was slightly different from the rest. But now you're watching your own life story, because I watched it, because I loved it, because I was in love with David Cassidy, which was kind of creepy because he was one of my brothers, but whatever. And I mean, it was a trip. It was a trip to see, a caricature version of our life on TV every Friday night. I loved it. And here's the thing about the Partridges. First of all, they're all really sweet people. I've known most of them all my life. Secondly, the Cowsills, we ranged from 67 to 1970. And we had four hit records. I bet you any money we wouldn't be as well known today had it not been for the Partridge Family. So Partridges wouldn't have existed without Cowsills, and the Cowsills today might not. I mean, we still play, right? We play all the time. We're still a viable band. And I think the Partridge Family had a lot to do with that. So my hat's off. And Shirley Jones is a sweet woman. She's awesome. They're all good kids. Everybody, it's all good. Life happens for the reasons it's supposed to happen for.
Well, now, the Cowsills still play. How many shows a year do you play as the Cowsills?
Oh, Lord. Sometimes, sometimes 30 or 40, sometimes 20. Just depends on the year and who's got what going on and, what the market is.
Are they domestic for the most part? Is it domestic shows or do you go overseas?
Yeah. No, we haven't done overseas yet. But in fact, we got some gigs coming up. We're playing in Las Vegas with Paul Revere and the Raiders. We are playing with the Associations in Lynn, Massachusetts. We are playing somewhere, and we're playing all over the place. We actually did a cruise, a rockin' of the what do they call it? Where the Action Is cruise with Paul Revere and the Raiders and Mary Wilson from the Supremes and B.J. Thomas, which was a hoot and a half and a great paid vacation. So we're working all the time. I do that all the while that I have my own career as well, and it's awesome. It's awesome to be with the family.
Where did the family start out? And we're talking about the Cowsills. Where did they start out? Were they California? Were you California?
No, we were Newport, Rhode Island. That was our hometown. A couple of the guys were even born there.
Did you live in one of those mansions? One of those Newport?
We lived in a mansion. It wasn't one of those. It was a big, giant 32-room mansion that had no furniture in it when we came onto it, bought it, and it just kind of missed being on the map of the 10-mile drive in Newport. But we did live in one. But we also lived in Middletown, Rhode Island. My brothers, when they were young, lived on the Navy base in Newport. We're New Englanders by nature.
Now, you moved into the big mansion. I was kidding, actually. I thought you were going to say, no, we grew up in a little shack, little grass shack.
Oh, we did live in a shack before that.
Right. So so this is after like Hair or some of the bigger hits came out. This is before that?
No, it's actually not. And that's the crazy part, is that actually we got famous after we moved into this mansion. I don't know. My dad, he could sell ice to Eskimos. And somehow or another, we, occupied this amazing house. We didn't have money. We were just starting off. I don't know how it went down, and literally we had no furniture in it. We had the furniture we brought from Middletown, Rhode Island, which is 3 blocks up the road. I don't know why we were in that house, but it was awesome. It was great.
We are speaking with Susan Cowsill, the singer-performer from New Orleans now, but started out in Rhode Island. And the band, the family band, the Cowsills, for those who are just turning in, with the prototype for the Partridge Family and the success that they had. Certainly, it's interesting that you look at it that way. I would agree. You know, that the Partridge Family added a lot to the legacy, if you want to call it a legacy. It's still going on of the Cowsills and vice versa. So you put it in a very appropriate way, I think. Without the Cowsills, there's no Partridge Family. Without the Partridge Family, the Cowsills are less well known. That's for sure. Now,
yeah, absolutely.
When did your father, and I assume it was your father's idea to construct this family project?
Right, and that is an assumption that is not correct. My brothers he facilitated it, but my brothers wanted to, they were born musicians, and they were playing for the heck of it in our house since they were teenagers. My oldest brothers, Bill and Bob, who founded the band. And my dad had brought home a guitar from Spain. He was a Navy officer for 25 years. And he had brought home a guitar as a souvenir, and they picked it up, and they were just naturals. My mom has natural singing ability. And so as time went on, you know, these guys were really, really good. And then as the younger boys grew older, they also wanted to play music. And when I think my dad, you know, he sat them down sometime, and it was pretty much right soon after the Beatles were on in '64 that they really wanted it bad. And it was an unusual situation. We had kids from 7 to 19, you know, but they were really good. And my dad just said, look, you know, if you guys really want this and are willing to work for it and work hard, I'll do what I can to make it happen. Now, he didn't have any business savvy. I mean, he had some intuitional business savvy, but as I said, he had just come out of the Navy, and he, you know, in a third grade education, you know, Depression-era guy. But it was not his idea. He did facilitate it, and he ran the ship, that's for sure. But my brothers and I, our career in our family band was something we wanted very much.
Now, out of the original Cowsills, how many of you still play together?
Well, okay, out of the original Cowsills in the band, 2 of them have passed on, my oldest brother Bill and my brother Barry. And so in the band, we have my brother Paul and my brother Bob and myself. We have one other brother, Richard, who is a twin of Bob, who is one of the main guys in the Cowsills, but he did not have a musical naturalness, nor in the beginning a desire to be in the band. Later on, he wanted to be in it, but in the very front of it. And my dad and he didn't get along. And my dad didn't want him in the band. You know, it was an unfortunate situation, but he never was in the band.
You know,
and so that.
No, pardon my ignorance on this, and I apologize, but are your parents still with us?
No. My mom passed away in 1985, and my dad died in 1990.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
that's cool. No worries. That's why we're interviewing. We're finding things out. So in the band is my brother Paul and Bob and myself, and then to replace Barry and Bill, 2 of my brothers, Paul and Bob's sons, are playing keyboard and guitar with us. And then my other brother, John, who used to be the drummer for the Cowsills, he's been playing with the Beach Boys, with Mike Love and the Beach Boys, for almost 20 years now. So he has a real job with guys who actually, you know, I mean, he's been playing with them. They had more gigs and a more of a viable career when he started playing with them. We weren't really back together like we are now. So he doesn't play with us. He comes out every once in a while and sings with us. But the Cowsills consist of the 3 of us, Bob, Paul, and myself. My nephews, Brendan and Ryan. My husband plays drums for the Cowsills. He also is my drummer and co-writes music with me. And then we have a wonderful gal from New Orleans here named Mary LaSang, and she's our bass player. And we have a rockin' band.
And I imagine you're and again, the last assumption I made didn't work out. I gave your father credit for coming up with the name. Well, not coming up with the name, but putting the whole thing together. And as it turns out, that wasn't the case. But I assume you're the glue that kind of keeps everybody together in this band.
Oh, I don't know. You know, we each have a role. I'm the only girl. I'm the matriarch of were. I'm their sister. I can't take that credit. Bob he's the leader. Bob is the leader of the band. I am the emotional center, let's say that. I take care of everybody. I'm like Wendy, and they're the Lost Boys.
That's
I'm
interesting.
Peter Pan.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Well, that's certainly an interesting way to go about it. We're speaking with Susan Cowsill, and Susan Cowsill is still going at it, very strong, and you've had a long career, even though you're still a young woman. But you started at 8 years old. My gosh.
You're very cute, Frank. That's very sweet of you, and your check's in the mail for that last comment.
8 years old. Think about it. 8 years old, you started.
I know.
And you've been performing professionally. As an 8-year-old, what was the biggest crowd you played in front of?
Oh, Lordy. I think it was like 50,000 people. Maybe, I think it was either 40 or 50,000 people, and I can't remember where, but it was this giant field. I remember that. And I know, like at the half shell in, is it Boston? Oh, the half shell is? We played for 30,000 there. We've been in front of quite a few people through the years. It was exciting and fun.
Now, I don't know how and I don't want to get too personal here, right? But I don't know how
That's all right.
I don't know how the Coogan laws affect people back then. And I know Coogan was a lot longer than that. But did you, when you turned 21 or something, was there a big check waiting for you? Was there a big account waiting for you?
No, Frank, there wasn't. The Coogan law, laws are made to be broken, and rules are made to be bent. And in the end of the day, we didn't have much money left in trust funds. My dad, after the band dispersed, was trying to reinvest. And he told us, asked some of us if we could, if we would forfeit up our monies, which weren't much, to reinvest in some property that he was trying to build a campground. The long story short is that we didn't end up with any trust funds. And quite honestly, and this is really groovy and cool, the Cowsills have never received royalties all these years, royalty monies. And we had lost track of our rights. And as of last week, we won a lawsuit with the Universal Music Group, and we've had our royalties returned to us, and a small settlement, but it's really the principle of the thing. So financially, my dad was really bad at managing money. He didn't know what he was doing. He put it in the hands of crooks because he didn't know any better. They certainly told him they were going to do best by his kids. And when we had it, he spent it liberally. He gave it away to people. He gave it. It was a hoot. Have you not seen the documentary?
No, I haven't yet, but I definitely will now. That's for sure.
Yeah, check it out. It's pretty interesting. It's a heartbreaker, and it's a joy releaser as well. Just like life, ups, downs, all around.
Do you, and not to touch on a sore subject here, but I mean, have you ever estimated, evaluated what amount of money that you should have had?
I have not. I think my brothers probably have, but I don't. I'm sure it's it's in the millions to be sure, and it's kind of one of those things. I guess it just depends on who you are. I know a couple of family members that are bitter about it. We were children, so we didn't really have a say in what was going on or knowledge of what was going on. My dad didn't have any knowledge of what was going on. And there were a lot of sharks in the waters of Manhattan, but I'm sure I'd be sitting pretty right. Let's just say I probably have a retirement fund that I don't have, but that's all right, man. I have a great life, and I don't. Fortunately for my own psyche, I don't sit and worry about stuff like that.
Well, it's I tell you, you got a great.
It was a lot, Frank.
You got a great attitude. You got a great attitude about it, and you're a very talented lady. And we're speaking with Susan Cowsill.
Thank you.
Susan Cowsill, if you're just tuning in, and we have about 2 minutes left with Susan. And for those who don't know, and those who are just tuning in, the Cowsills were the prototype for the Partridge Family, and Hair was a major single for you guys. You didn't write it, is that right? You didn't write the song, or nobody in the band wrote it?
No. The song comes directly from the Broadway play Hair, and the only reason we ended up with that song was because we did it, we performed it, we recorded a version of the song, our version, for a television show that Carl Reiner was doing at that time. And he thought he was doing a TV show on fashion and culture of the 60s at that time, which is pretty innovative. And he thought it would be kind of funny to have the Cowsill singing a song from the Broadway musical Hair because of the obvious nature of the complete dichotic, the opposite image, if you will. And so we recorded that song for his show, and we did a video of it. We're all dressed as hippies. My mom is. It was really cute and funny. My brothers produced, recorded, played everything. It was really great. And brought it to MGM and asked them if we could put it out as our next single. They said, absolutely not. You may not. That was fun and cute for that TV show, but that is not your image. And they played that song. We were touring, and we were in Chicago. And I think, was it WLS? Whatever the big Chicago station is, they played that song for them. The switchboard lit up, and MGM was forced to put that song out because it became a hit like that week.
We have about 30 seconds left with Susan Cowsill. Susan, give us some social media or some kind of web presence that people can follow you on.
Sure thing. Well, the Cowsills proper have a cowsill.com. They also have a Cowsills Facebook, so you can go there to find us. And I have a SusanCowsill.com webpage of my own for my own personal music. And I've got a couple of Facebook pages out there. Just look up Susan Cowsill. You can't miss me.
Well, Susan, thanks for being here. We're going to hopefully follow up with you on a part 2 of this and catch up on some of the original material and some of your current stuff. Susan Cowsill, everyone, has been our very special guest. Thanks for tuning in. Susan, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Frank. I appreciate the opportunity, and y'all take care.
Thanks, Susan, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Breaking It Down.